We are rolling.
Good morning. Welcome back to the conversation. This is Pointing Out the Obvious. This is our news and politics webcast, our daily take on what's buzzing today. I'm your host, Patrick Russell, and over there is my very opinionated producer, Veronica. Together, we're here to quip and quiver through today's headlines, searching for the real, no matter how deep in the swamp we need to go. Happy Taco Tuesday to you, Veronica. We've got a chilling, scary, yet exciting story to talk about. Scientific American, great publication, came out with a story regarding AI software companies using technology in order to capture with cameras people's emotions, as well as facial tics, as well as voice tonage, essentially collecting metadata from a person's behavior and now cataloging that information, and then, of course, running it through an AI software that can now predict what emotional state you are in. Later on, can predict potentially what you're thinking per se, or at least what you're focusing on. And then, of course, without a doubt, being able to detect things like deceit, happiness, love, vengeance, and rage. All of this information will now be open to the companies or the governments that have the resources to put into effect the software AI capabilities that are available out there. Essentially, you have simple cameras that are now geared up with connections that go through a software that can now filter out what you might be thinking or feeling at that moment. And so from a younger generation's perspective, Veronica, how do you feel about your emotions and your thoughts? Are those private, or should those be open to everyone? Your thoughts?
You know, I don't think they have been private ever since I was born, and I'm not gonna give you my perspective and my point of view. So when you go into, I don't know, like a store, department, an office, we know, we can sense what the other person is, I guess, feeling in a way that we're dressed, in a way that we speak, in the way that, I mean, many things, right? So based on that, we kind of react to it, right? So
absolutely. But I hate to say it, but that's a little bit of the stereotyping that we all as human beings do as a defensive mechanism to remember lessons learned, per se, to avoid the dark alley of danger, that kind of mechanics. Just putting it out there, right there, because the judgment that you are describing, which happens with everyone, is in fact a mode of stereotyping, but that's for another webcast. Please continue on.
I guess what I was kind of...
you read people. Body language is, I think, the point of the matter. We have been reading body languages more than we've been reading the verbal cues forever, since the day we were born. So I agree.
I guess what I was trying to kind of link to make sense of the story that I read is, this is something that it was going to happen eventually because of the ability of humans to be able to read other people's emotions, right? So
it was just a natural evolution, of course.
So what's happening here is that humans, we know how to treat someone based on their emotions. So now they're coming up with, obviously, this all fancy,
technology that's going to make it now crystal clear. We move forward,
to be able to predict what I want. Like, I read the story about, walking through the mall, and then depending like on the store that you're walking through and then your emotions, it might be a store that it would lead you to maybe buying a book or maybe buying an ice cream, things like that. So I don't think I'm afraid of that, though, because if I'm going through something, and then if I'm walking through the mall, let's say, and I feel depressed, and then there's a ice cream store, and then I'm like, oh, I might want to get an ice cream. And
it presents itself to you because it understands that it'll definitely change your emotions for the better.
So I know,
in a positive way.
Well, that's what we're hoping now.
Obviously, bring out pleasure. Yes, it'll definitely activate the pleasure sense. Correct.
But also, everything comes from a good side and a bad side. I mean, we're talking about the positive things, but and then what makes you think that if I'm happy, and then they might want to sell me something else that will make me happier, but and then it will not be on my benefit. So like I said, we always have to see the two perspectives and then the 2 points of view, and then see how we can fix it. But I mean, it's inevitable. I mean, it will happen, and we just kind of have to adjust it, work with it.
Right. So Amazon has been well known now to have purchased Whole Foods or the grocery store outlets for the purposes of now moving into the brick top, the actual hard top stores. Not because they want to compete with the Nordstroms or the Walmarts, but because now they want an outlet for their cameras to now study not just online behavior, because for years they've already understand who you are as a consumer from an online perspective, but now they want to study human beings as a consumer from a physical standpoint. What are your physical behavioral traits as you're walking through a store filled with products? What kicks up your pleasure principle? What brings it down? That's the reason why they bought all of these store tops, is because they're using it as mini laboratories so that they can sense how to sell to you better. Final note. This is a litigious question that I think is now just beginning to be talked about. Privacy in its most fundamental element. What's in here? Does it only belong to you? Or as what I got out of the younger generation's answer, this already innate belief that it belongs to the public and it's available to anyone or any government that has the resources to pick it out. Guys, there's no right answer, there's no wrong answer, but there definitely is your opinion. Don't just subscribe to this channel, even though we will be doing this back and forth regarding the news and what's going to be coming out there to affect our lives on a daily basis. But lend your voice to the show. It'll make it a whole lot more fun. Guys, remember, it doesn't matter if you lean to the right. It doesn't matter if you lean to the left. As long as you're treating the person in front of you kindly, you just made the world a better place. Happy Taco Tuesday, everybody.